Hey, thanks for taking some time to register for the Science of Sales Hiring. Not sure if you made it or not, but I wanted to give you a 10-minute recap. I know that nobody's got an hour to sit down and go through this with us if you didn't attend. So, first thing I wanted to let you know is we realize that as presidents, owners, VPs, large sales forces, small sales forces, as the leader of the organization, you have two choices to grow. You can grow your sales team or you can grow through acquisition. And we know that not everybody has the capital to go make mergers and acquisitions and grow like that. So, for those of you who want to grow through your sales team, you know that growing your sales team is a way to do that. The problem is hiring salespeople is often like rolling the dice. Well, we want to take that mystery out of it. So we're going to go through some steps that we've been using for about 35 years for best practices for sales hires. You can see the agenda. This is going to be an abridged version, so we're not going to get into all the details, but we would certainly like to talk to you if you are serious about hiring great salespeople and raising the bar for your entire team. We also want to make sure that you know there's a complimentary two assessments we're happy to share with you. So if you have candidates in late stage hiring, we'd be happy to send you a link and have you complete two candidate assessments. And we'll talk about what you're going to find in those assessments and how they work here in just a minute. So just a touch about us. Last year, we helped companies hire about 500 salespeople. We've been doing this for about 35 years. We know what every recruiter doesn't know. We know what sales managers and sales hiring managers don't know. And we know what talent managers and VPs don't know because we've worked with thousands and thousands more of salespeople and companies and sales hires than most people you will run across. And we want to share that knowledge with you to prevent those costly sales hiring mistakes. So we know sales interviewing is 14% accurate. That's it. And that's why a lot of mistakes are made. They're not asking the right questions. Their resumes are too much emphasis on the wrong stuff. We want to help you identify not only who can sell, but who will sell in your market, in your business, in your environment, with your price points, under your leadership, with your differentiating value. We can add predictability to that success. Some companies say, hey, we don't have a candidate pool out there. Well, that's just not true. There's 18 million people in this country with sales jobs, and they're changing jobs every 18 months. So there's a constant pool of salespeople out there. The trick is, how do we get them? We know there's about a 75% failure rate. Often companies put people in the wrong place because they just need a warm body. They don't write the ads correctly to attract the right people. And we know the cost of a hiring mistake is typically 3 times what you're going to pay someone. There's a lot of disruption with a bad hire, and there's a ton of lost opportunity. We also realize that sales managers aren't always equipped to coach, onboard, hold people accountable, and motivate. And if you've experienced any of those, please stay with us for a few minutes here. So, if you're going to hire salespeople, you got 3 options. You can do it yourself. Typically, there's a failure rate of 75%. You can hire a recruiter. Well, that's really kind of hoping and praying too, because they'll look at your job description, they'll search their database, they look at the industry experience of someone that matches your job description. It's no offense, but I've never seen a job description that was correct. Then they call you and tell you they've got a candidate and they say they interviewed them. But what they did is they sold them on your opportunity with your company. They send them to you, they sell you on the candidate, and then they hope that you hire them so they can get the balance of their fee in 90 days. And they're charging somewhere between 15 and 25 grand per sales hire. Or you can have our option. We call it SHARK, Sales Hiring and Recruiting Companion. So we've done recruiting for a long time and we get the process down to a science. We're going to share that with you in just a moment. Here's why it doesn't work traditionally hiring sales with the traditional model. You place the ads, you collect the resumes. The ads don't attract the right people. There's incorrect information missing from the resume. The interviews don't expose the strengths. They don't really help identify if they will sell. The people that are interviewing are not always as good as the salespeople are at first impressions and interviewing and telling you what they want to hear. And so once you make an offer, it's kind of get on one knee and hope and pray. And that does not produce great results in sales. So what do? We got to change the way you identify, attract, screen, hire, and onboard. We're not going to go through all of this, but just as you're thinking, when you think about the cost of a bad hire, the lost opportunity is the biggest cost, as well as your reputation. Again, we find it's about 3 times annual pay, at least 100 grand per bad hire. So let's change the way we go about identifying, attracting, and retaining, onboarding, and keeping strong salespeople. First thing, we want to identify, what does your ideal salesperson look like? What are their behaviors? What are their attitudes? What are the skills? And what's the environment? And once we have that, we can wrap that with some psychodynamics and be able to write the right ads that are going to attract the right people. Most ads are boring. They talk about the company, they talk about the opportunity, and they all look the same. So you're not differentiating yourself with your ads, and people aren't placing them in the right place. If you are using an assessment, typically it's going to be personality, behavior, or aptitude. None of those are built inside sales for sales. They're all created on PF16, personal factors, and they're going to measure things that are built in a social environment, and they're adopting those to sales, which just does not work. We have over 2.5 million salespeople we've evaluated. We have this tool with a third-party validation. We're the only one that make a recommendation. 92% of the people that we recommend that are hired are with the company, and they're there a year later and exceeding expectations. 75% of the people that are not recommended, they don't make it past 6 months. And we know there's different levels of sales. So there's a sliding scale for the difficulty level. Everything is customized, not only to your company and that department, but that particular role. And everything then gets weighted based on your company. So we want to look at what we call the 21 core competencies, the will to sell. That's really that grit. Do they have what it takes to get through the hard part? And then, of course, the tactical skills and the DNA. These are these unconscious buying and selling habits that are going on 3 or 4 layers deep. And these will neutralize whatever strengths those salespeople have that are hired. So we want to look at that, but it's not just one dimensional for each competency. There are attributes that make that up. And so we'll look at 180 unique findings that are weighted again based on your ideal salesperson. Resumes, again, what's important is what's not on the resume, not what is on the resume. And how do we use that resume in the interviewing process to expose the strengths and expose the weaknesses? Of course, we want to do a 5-minute phone screen, which is just a really quick, easy way to disqualify candidates. Then we're going to turn that first interview into an audition, because the only way you know they're going to be able to sell is if they can prove it to you in the interview. Again, this is asking the right questions, the right order of questions from the resume and the assessment. There's scorecards, there's homework that needs to happen for that candidate to move to the next step. And we can give you all of those tips and tricks that'll make it work. Obviously, documentation is important. Compensation is critical. You're competing with other companies for that salesperson. So we want to take a look at that and make some recommendations. You may be fine, but you might need some help in really attracting and keeping the right salespeople. Of course, once you make the final offer, onboarding. This is a big weakness for companies. There's really about 60 things that the company needs to share for the salesperson. There's about 60 things with sales that the sales manager needs to share with that person. What is your differentiating value? What is the sales process? What are the common objections and how to overcome those? Who's going to role play? How often? What are the deadlines? So we want to give you a 90-day onboarding plan that is foolproof, because if they won't do it for you in the first 90 days, they're not going to do it after that. So in our program, we would take you through an orientation, help you understand the tools that we use, help you write great ads to attract the right people, obviously get started on that 90-day onboarding plan, the resume, the interview, the assessment and the portal that we use, and teach you guys how to use to stack rank candidates with those 180 unique findings. The phone screen, the first interview, the second interview, and then, of course, reviewing that onboarding education. So we have three options for you. One, we can give you everything that's self-guided. You can do it yourself. We'll just turn all of our great content over to you. Guided, we're going to give you a little bit more support. We're going to help you. We're going to review more information with you, and we'll spend more time with you. And then the concierge program is really holding your hand and your team's hand all along the way. So a couple action plans. If you like, schedule a call with me. We'll talk about your goals and what your sales hiring initiatives are. And then if you'd like a complimentary assessment for some late stage candidates, we'd be happy to have you do those, and we'll review those reports with you. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time and effort for being here and listening. If you're looking to hire salespeople in the next 6 months, let's talk and let's keep you from making a mistake. Rocky LeGrone, have a great day and good selling.